At a private family charity event my uncle toasted, "She's the backbone, great for carrying weight, never for leading." Everyone laughed as I nodded politely. I spent 19 years building silent power among major donors, and when the scandal broke, I made sure our family foundations were seized for fraud. Our family's name was erased from museums, hospitals, universities. Today, no plaque, no statue, no scholarship mentions them. It's as if they never existed. I was 32 years old when my uncle stood up at our family's annual charity gala and made that toast. We were in the main ballroom at the Philadelphia Art Museum. Crystal chandeliers. Classical quartet in the corner. The kind of event where people flew in from DC and wore watches worth more than my salary. He raised his glass, looked around at the donors and family and said, "Let's hear it for my niece. She's the backbone, great for carrying weight, never for leading." And everyone laughed. Hard. Like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. My dad clapped. My aunt smiled. My cousins didn't even glance at me. I just nodded like always and smiled, the kind of smile I practiced since I was a teenager, the polite one. The good sports smile. But inside, I was done. I had spent 19 years inside the machine that was the Morgan Family Foundations. We had our name on hospitals, university wings, scholarships, research centers, even a goddamn performing arts center in Pittsburgh. 9 different foundations. Dozens of fake LLCs. Hundreds of millions in assets. And I was behind almost all of it. See, I wasn't the star. Never was. I wasn't the one who gave speeches or cut ribbons. That was my uncle. He was the face. Big smile, louder voice, firm handshake. He called me kiddo in front of donors and gave me good girl pats on the back whenever I saved his ass behind the scenes. But what nobody noticed was that I built everything. I managed the calendars. I knew which donor liked private flights and which ones liked first class. I remembered birthdays, favorite wines, the names of grandkids. I took meetings. I sat in on board calls and never spoke unless spoken to. I read contracts, handled the books, and stayed invisible. And I saw everything. I saw how money meant for sick kids was rerouted through holding companies. I saw payments to shell organizations with no employees. I saw consulting fees that went to offshore accounts tied to burner emails. And when I asked about it just once, my uncle laughed and said, "Sweetheart, some things are just too complicated for your little brain. Stick to what you're good at." So I did. But I also made copies. Every ledger. Every bank statement. Every wire transfer that didn't add up. I saved them. Encrypted them. I used burner laptops and uploaded backups to 3 separate cloud accounts. I even printed out hard copies and locked them in a fireproof safe at a UPS box 2 towns over. I didn't tell anyone. Not my boyfriend at the time. Not my best friend. Not even my therapist. And then I waited. I started building relationships of my own. Quiet ones. I hosted private dinners with the older donors. The ones who liked family values and legacy talk. I told them stories about my childhood, about how I wanted to start my own foundation someday. They wrote checks to me, not the family. Small ones at first. Then bigger. I made myself their future. And then last year, I saw my chance. My cousin, let's call him Jake, got sloppy. He yelled at one of our pediatric center CFOs during a board meeting. She recorded it. I knew because she sent it to me privately. She had always liked me. Thought I had integrity. She said, "If you ever decide to jump ship, I'll back you." So I made the jump. I sent the recording anonymously to a journalist I went to college with. He ran a small blog that covered nonprofit ethics. It didn't get much traction at first. But I knew how these things worked. A week later I sent more. Audit reports. Internal memos. Proof that money meant for children's vaccines went into a Florida real estate project. Copies of meetings where my uncle said things like, "If we spread the donations out over 3 shells, no one will track it." Then I made a tip to the IRS. Then another to the DOJ. And then I waited. 6 months later our world blew up. Front page of the Inquirer. Morgan Family Foundations under federal investigation. By the end of the week, 3 of our offices had been raided. My cousin Jake was arrested for obstruction. My uncle's face was on every news outlet. Fraud. Embezzlement. Tax evasion. And the donors? They ghosted us. Even the loyal ones. Because they weren't loyal to the Morgans, they were loyal to me. Hospitals started removing plaques.
University renamed lecturol.
Statues were quietly taken down at night. No public statements, just erasure. Like we were never there. My uncle tried to call me 4 times. Left 1 voicemail. I hope you know what you've done. I never answered. I moved to a quiet apartment in Mount Airy.
No dorman.
No visitors. Just me, a bottle of scotch, and a list of every name that used to say I was just the helper. My aunt still sends me Christmas cards. She signs them "Love Always," like nothing happened. But I know what I did. I know exactly what I burned down. And I'm not sorry. After the story broke and the investigations went public, I thought it would all fall apart fast. But it didn't. Not right away. For a few weeks, the family tried to act like it was just bad press. They made statements. My uncle hired one of those crisis PR guys from DC to write a letter full of buzzwords like misunderstanding and temporary mismanagement. My cousin Jake did a podcast interview where he said we were being targeted because we were too successful. I didn't say a word. But then something happened I didn't plan for. They started fighting each other. The board of directors for one of the hospitals, the one where we had a pediatric ICU, named after my grandfather, started pointing fingers. Board members resigned. Donors asked for their money back. Foundations started suing each other. My uncle sued my dad, claiming he knew and enabled the fraud. It became chaos. And in the middle of it, someone leaked my name. I still don't know who. Maybe a cousin. Maybe someone I trusted too much. Maybe that CFO who backed me turned bitter. Doesn't matter now. My name ended up in a Reddit thread. Then in a blog post. Then on Twitter. People started calling me the niece who burned it all. Some called me a hero. Some called me a traitor. But the ones who scared me the most were the ones who said I owed them. A guy I dated in college messaged me on LinkedIn asking for a little help now that you're rich. A woman who worked with my mom years ago sent me a Venmo request for $25,000 with a note that said, "Payback time, right?" A lawyer emailed offering to represent me if you're trying to claim whistleblower money. And then I got a letter. Handwritten. No return address. It just said, "If you think this ends with you, you're wrong. We have friends too." I installed security cameras the next day. Changed my phone number. Moved the fireproof safe to a storage unit in Jersey under a false name. But I knew something else. My family wasn't done fighting. And now they were coming for me. 2 weeks after I got the letter, I got subpoenaed. Not a surprise, honestly. I had expected it. But the way it came was what shook me. A guy in a navy suit knocked on my apartment door at 7:15 a.m., holding a yellow envelope and smiling like it was a pizza delivery. "Morning. You're being called to testify before the grand jury." That was it. No small talk. Inside the envelope, a subpoena, court date, and a list of documents I was expected to provide. Some of them I had. Some I knew were locked in accounts I hadn't touched in years. All of it meant I was officially no longer just the niece who leaked the story. I was a witness. Possibly a target. I called a lawyer that night. The one the CFO recommended when this all started. She was sharp, calm, and wore her hair in the kind of tight bun that made you shut up and listen. She read the subpoena, looked up and asked, "Are you ready to lose everyone who ever shared your last name?" I said, "They lost me a long time ago." She smiled. But things got messy fast. The family wasn't just scrambling, they were getting desperate. They started blaming each other more publicly. My uncle's name was everywhere now. A new article came out showing how he rerouted over $9 million in children's cancer research funds into a philanthropic consultancy that had no employees and no address. Guess whose name was on the LLC? My dad. That broke me for a minute. Because as awful as he was, cold, distant, silent when I needed him to defend me, he wasn't a criminal. At least I never thought he was. But the documents didn't lie. He signed things. He opened accounts. He was listed as the executive director of a company that did nothing but collect checks. When I called him, he picked up. First time in months. I said, "Dad, did you know what you were signing?" He sighed. "Your uncle handled the money. I trusted him. But your name's on it." He paused. Then said, "So's yours." You were the one keeping all the files, right? I hung up. That was the last time I heard his voice. A week later, a separate investigation opened up into internal whistleblower misconduct. Some lawyer in Florida claimed I had used donor access to manipulate and redirect funds under false pretenses. They were trying to flip it, turn the story around, make me the villain. And worse, it started working. A few smaller blogs ran headlines like, "Was she a whistleblower? Or was she just cleaning up her own mess?" My lawyer told me to stay offline. I didn't listen. I read every article, every comment. One stuck with me. It said, "No one takes down a family empire without getting dirty themselves." I didn't sleep that night. But the next morning, I woke up and realized something. They were scared of me, because I still had things they didn't know about. There were files I hadn't released yet, conversations I had recorded years ago, offhand remarks from board meetings, emails I printed out and stashed in an old copy of The Secret Garden in my storage unit. They wanted to burn me down because they knew I could still burn them worse. So I pulled out a fresh hard drive and started uploading everything. It took me 3 nights to upload everything. I didn't eat much, didn't sleep, just sorted through years of files, voice memos, burner emails, and old donor lists. I listened to recordings I forgot. I even had my uncle cursing out an aide over a missing wire transfer, my cousin joking about making money off dead kids during a gala prep call. Every time I hit upload, I felt a little colder, and then I hit send. I sent it all anonymously but traceable if they really looked to the Department of Justice, the IRS, and every major news outlet that had touched our story so far. No message. No cover letter. Just pure evidence. That's when the storm hit. Within days, my uncle was arrested.
Wire fraud.
Tax evasion. Obstruction. They even got him on charges related to political donations laundered through a church in Ohio. He tried to fight it, said it was all a smear job. But it was too late. The paper trail was too long. The recordings too clear. He pled out. 15 years, no chance of parole. My cousin Jake got 6 years. He cried in court. Said he was just doing what his dad told him to. The judge didn't care. Neither did I. My aunt fled the country before they could seize her accounts. She's probably in Portugal. Or Dubai. Doesn't matter. Her passport was flagged. She won't come back. But it didn't end with them. My dad got indicted too. Turns out even if you're just signing things, you still go down. He lost everything: house, savings, reputation. The last time I saw him was on the local news, walking out of court with a paper over his face. I watched that clip 5 times in a row. He never looked at the camera. And me? I testified. Twice. In court. Under oath. My hands didn't shake, but my voice did. I told the truth. Every piece of it. I admitted I waited. I admitted I collected. I admitted I played the long game. The DOJ didn't press charges. They needed me. But not everyone saw me as a hero. The media turned. First they called me brave. Then they called me calculated. Then they called me dangerous. One article said, "This was never about justice. It was about power." They weren't wrong. Because I did want power. I wanted to watch it all burn, and I did. I wanted to be the reason no one in my family ever got to stand on a stage again. I wanted their names removed from every plaque, every building, every scholarship. And I got it. The Morgan name is gone now. Every donation we ever made was returned, rerouted, or renamed. The statues are gone. The lecture halls are now named after real heroes, nurses, teachers, people who mattered. No one says our name anymore. But here's the truth. I don't sleep well. I still check the locks 3 times. I still get emails from strangers, some saying thank you, some calling me a traitor, some threatening to correct the mistake I made. I won. But it cost me every piece of who I was. I live alone now. No close friends. No family. I don't go to events. I don't wear dresses that make me look responsible. I don't smile in photos. Sometimes when I walk past the hospital where our name used to be carved in stone, I pause and run my fingers over the smooth wall. Nothing there now. Just silence. Exactly what I wanted. Exactly what I earned.